Hello, I'm Chef Greg Picolo. This is the Bistro at the Maison de Ville. Today we're going to be cooking a dish that we have on our current lunch menu. It's a jumbo shrimp and scallop stuffed salmon, which we call shrimp and scallop farci. And we're doing that today with the pistachio, Italian sausage, and green pea risotto. That's going to be served with a saffron, fennel, and tomato butter broth. So let's get started. We have to prep around when you're doing a dish, so we're going to start with the roasted peppers. This is a very easy method. Open flame, stick the peppers on there, they're going to start charring for you. While that's starting to do what it needs to do, one of the things we're going to be having in the dish is roasted corn in the saffron broth. Best way to do that, or my favorite way, take fresh corn out of it, you throw it in there with the husk on, and just let that roast for a while. Next thing we're going to do, while this is working, I say we should start the risotto. Now risotto, a lot of people have different methods, and risotto is one of the products that you kind of have to practice on. You know, eventually you're really good at it. Sometimes you come a little too mushy, sometimes you come a little too al dente. But we're going to try and demystify that and make it easy. Some extra virgin olive oil. And of course, as you all know, you're going to get the recipe, so we're just going to kind of walk you through this. We have some chopped onion. Go right into that olive oil. Start getting a little color in there. Don't worry about the mess. If you need a little bit more oil, don't be shy. I worked for a master Italian chef for a long time, and he'd always say, you cook it in the oil, not in the pan. So if you don't have enough oil, increase your oil in there. Because you just want to get a little color on this started. Then what we have is a boreal rice. It is what risotto becomes, and it must be a boreal, which is a short grain, kind of starchy rice from Italy. And pour that in there. See, it still looks a little dry. You can add just a touch more oil, because this is a critical stage. If you don't get your rice and onion mix started straight, you're going to run into problems. So you're going to then deglaze it with a cup of white wine. Always use a wine you would drink, not a wine that you would throw away, because that does come through the flavor. And then we're going to cook this down until it's almost dry. And what we have here is fresh chicken stock. If you don't make it at home, understandably, canned broth will work in the home cooking. I'll get that down in a home. And what we're doing is adding about a cup of stock at a time. Keep moving it around, and you do cook this on high heat. And as that reduces and cooks, you're going to keep your eye on it and keep stirring and adding stock. See how peppers have a really nice char to them? I'm going to put these, and actually at this point while they're hot, we're going to steam them. Now the old method, my mother would take these and put them in a brown paper bag and let them steam. Because all we've done is char the outside, and by encasing them, you'll see that steam's going to already start forming in there. That's going to actually cook the interior of the pepper and give us a nice tender pepper to put into our stuffing. While that's resting, see, you can see now that our liquid has almost completely evaporated at this point, and this is our time to go ahead and add another cup or so. Now, if you don't have chicken stock, you can do this with water. Everything's better with chicken stock. It's fresh fennel. You can use the top. I find the top makes a really lovely garnish, but it's very, very fibrous, more so than celery, and it's not something you really want to eat. So we just kind of, you can use that to infuse a broth if you like, which I often do. And this is the bulb itself. I'm just going to take some of this off. See, it's almost like a celery. And for those of us who don't know, fennel does have that licorice flavor, which is very nice. It's going to go very well with the Italian sausage. This is how the dish ties together. The sauce pairs with the risotto, as does the other elements. And just, quick little slice down. And That's going to be enough, I think, for this. First, we're going to take our fennel. A little extra virgin olive oil. We're just going to start wilting that down a little bit. Turn this to white wine. Now, the fennel is much denser, so unlike celery or onions, it's going to take a little bit longer to get tender. Now, I highly recommend Terranova's Supermarket. This is where I buy my Italian sausage. I'm sure there's a lot of debate among chefs who makes the best Italian. For my money, it's Terranova's, and that's a plug. Well, it's a good plug and well deserved. Just going to slice this up here. It's hot. I'm just going to start sauteing this off. Everybody says, wow, saffron's very expensive. And it is, considering what it takes to create. But you don't need a lot of it. Saffron's a wonderful thing. It imparts a beautiful color, a wonderful exotic flavor. But if you use too much, it tastes like old socks. So we change it dramatically to a really pretty golden yellow color. Sausage and then go on that side. Corn is probably done. You only need about 10-15 minutes. And you can see it gets really nice and brown, and it takes on an incredible flavor. It's really got a deep roasted flavor when you do it this way, and I really, really like it. Actually, in this dish you'll see in the formula, we don't add the corn until the end. We want that to keep that roasted flavor. We want that to keep its own integrity. We're going to start adding some of the other elements we need. We've got some nice Roma tomatoes. They're very nice right now. The other thing we have in season are Creole, so you can use a few Romas or one large Creole would really suffice. Just so it's got a nice deep flavor. Not too small. This is a rustic broth. It does not have to be finely diced and handled. It's extremely al dente, which has got a little bit of crunch to it. The term we use in cooking, and everybody knows it in different ways, but it's called carryover. So if I take this off the heat in the next minute or two, as I'm getting it, see that nice creaminess you're getting it, I'm going to reduce the rest of that liquid, get it to that creamy state, then pull it off the heat, because we're going to hold this while we finish the other parts of the dish. And the carryover process, called carryover cooking, is going to continue to cook it, because this is holding an intense amount of heat. For the sake of decadence, we're going to add just a little bit of that. Our broth is just about where we want it to be. We got that little splash of Worcestershire sauce, and this one, a little splash too. Now this is at the point where we're going to let it rest. We're going to get started on our seafood. We have here some U10 scallops, these bad boys right here, and then some jumbo shrimp. Just going to dice these up a little bit. And what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and cook them off a little bit first. And the reason being, you could stuff your salmon with the product raw, the seafood raw. The only problem with that is by the time you get the shrimp cooked at the proper temperature and the scallops, it's going to overcook the salmon. You're going to go with the shrimp first, and you're just going to do it till it barely turns pink. You don't want to completely cook the seafood. You're just giving it a head start. You can see your shrimp here is starting to get that nice pink color. The scallops are firming up just a little bit, and that's about all you want. At this point, I'm going to squeeze lemon juice. That makes the flavors very bright. And the peppers that we peeled and chopped up, oh, the magic of TV are right here. Just add those in there. A little touch of garlic. And I'm going to put a little shot of the soy sauce. And that is our stuffing. Take this off. We don't want it to continue cooking. Or as we know, it will carry over a little bit, but that's fine. We have all of our elements put together. Now, if you like, I'll show you how to do this real quick while that's resting, because I did promise we'd do that. This is one of the peppers. It's been steaming. See how it's gotten softer? Take a little knife. It's messy, I warn you. This is a messy process. What I like to do, too, is, because it wilts a little bit, you can kind of squeeze it, and, I don't know, kind of like puffing out its cheeks, and it makes it easy to peel. Just take your knife, peel all this black off. Also helpful to have a damp towel to get some of that off. And what it's doing is really just removing the skin. But besides removing the skin, it's imparting that flavor, that wonderful, deep, roasted flavor. Now while we're doing it, let's do the corn real quick. What you're going to do with the corn is just peel it after it's roasted, and the husk comes right off. And again, this is another cooking process. Just like the peppers, you started the cooking from the outside and it cooked into the inside. This roasting method works the same way. By keeping the husk on the corn, it is actually steamed the corn and giving it a really nice roasted flavor. You can really smell the earth in that. Cut the little part off. Depending on skill, I usually just hold one, but it's safer if you cut it in half like that. And you're just going to take the corn off the cob. And that's just going to rest until we're ready for it. Next phase, let's go ahead and do the fish. This may be the trickiest part, but it's really not that difficult. What we have here is salmon. You're going to do about a 4-ounce piece. I like to go right about here with it, and I'll show you why in a minute because it's fun. This is a good piece too, but we're going to take this piece. Just cut straight across the salmon, about 4 ounces or so. This process really helpful to have a very sharp, this is called a fillet knife, or we call it a boner. It's very sharp, it's very thin. Because what you're going to do is, like anything else, takes a little practice. Let's see, I guess this might be the best way to turn it. I don't know if I can do it reverse. Imagine, you can put an imaginary mark here, or your finger, which I do, and you're going right into the flesh, into the center, okay? And you're cutting. Another thing, it's really safe to do that, but I always find that awkward because I'm trying to show the camera, and that's a different angle. Okay. So, and do it slowly if you want. You can go back a couple of times. So what you're doing is you're slicing into the salmon this way. And it's a fun trick. People are going to wonder how you got the stuffing in there. Now, turn it over. And the trick to this, and like anything else, takes a little practice. The trick to this is not to cut all the way through the fish. And you're going to stuff the cavity. Shrimp, scallop, with it. And make sure everybody's behaving themselves. Okay, is everybody there? Yeah. A bit of a push. Season the outside a little bit. And we're just going to put a little whisper of the olive oil, mostly for flavor, and it's going to help make a nice crispy finish on that. Get his tail right. There we go. We're going to roast this in a 400. I'm doing it at 450 convection, which I like. I want a very quick process. And while that's roasting, let's finish our risotto and get ready to eat. So here's our green pea and sausage mixture. And get this back on the heat. Mixture here. Of course, this is more than you're going to need for one serving, but. Now, I actually think you could add, this is a dish in itself. You can have this, and this is a wonderful meal. And right when you see it get to this point, you don't want it totally dry, but you don't want it too soupy. You ready to go? We're just going to finish the butter roll. And it is, as it said, it is a butter roll. Again, butter's great. I love it for the mouthfeel. It gives a velvety feel. I don't often cook with it because then it breaks down and it no longer has the mouthfeel I like. It becomes fat and kind of separates. So right when you're ready to serve, shortly thereabout is when you want to fuse it in. Should be very close. Yep, it's ready to go. Again, as you can see, it's medium rare. It's got some resistance, as I showed you with the sausage, but if it was really overcooked, if I tried to pick it up this way, it would, of course, just crumble. So this way, it's what I consider perfectly cooked. And because we cooked the seafood stuffing a little bit before we put in the salmon, now all those 4 things have come together. They're at the right temperature to serve and enjoy. take our risotto. Nice scoop. And if you think about it, it's almost a deconstructed stuffing. We have our starch here on the bottom, being the risotto, the carbs, and some meat, and some vegetables. And then we have the seafood that might be in the stuffing. And we're going to add that next. Pick this up. Set it right there. And now we're going to spoon this broth around. See how it's gotten really nice, glossy, shiny. I do that because I like to paint the fish and then get some of the, hey, you guys have to go. Take a little piece of lemon, garnish it off. A little more touch of fresh parsley. And we're ready to serve. So shrimp, scallop, salmon farci with pistachio Italian sausage, a green pea risotto, and saffron, fennel, corn, and tomato butter broth. Thank you for joining us here at the Bistro at the Maison de Ville. I hope we'll see you soon.